Well, a very fine good morning to all my dear students. We were previously going on with the topic of class 10 in political science regarding political parties. In political parties, we basically went through the topic, the introductory part, the definition, the importance of political party. Then we also studied about the necessities, the function, the biparty system, uniparty system, and the multi-party system. We also went through the categorization of the political parties and stating it to be a national party or a state party. Soon after that, our discussion went on with the challenges at the present era witnessing regarding the political parties. Now, if such challenges are there, so today's topic we will deal with the reforms within the political party. What reforms must be taken by the government, or what suggestions we all people can make in order to bring about a change in the political party. In a democratic country like India, we witness that there are several criticisms as with regard to the pros and cons of each and everything. In the same manner, regarding the political parties also, there had been various criticism, and since there happened to be the various criticism, so what we find is that looking into the graph of various criticisms and the discussions made all around, the very first reformative step which we should take for the political party is that the system of defection must be controlled. Now, the very word defection, D-E-F-E-C-T-I-O-N, the very word defection, what does it mean? Defection means contesting the election from one's party in the emblem of one particular party or in the symbol of one particular party, and after winning the election, thereby changing the party and going into the another party. यानी उसको हिंदी में एक शब्द में दल बदल कानून, defection, दल बदल कानून. Because nowadays we see that MPs and MLAs who win the election, and those political party who are just at the level of getting the majority in the parliament, that is 2/3 majority, and that political party does not get the 2/3 majority only because they are lagging in few of the seats. मान के चलिए कि 5 सीट की कमी आ गई, 6 सीटों की कमी आ गई. So in that stage, what do we find is that majority party, they try to manipulate such type of MPs or MLAs such that they can come in their party, and after their coming within their party, they will show their majority to the president or the governor, and they may govern the country. Because their position of getting the seats, that will become 2/3, and that member who joined that party, he will have to sacrifice his seat and will move into the another party. Only because of the lust of what? Only because of the lust of getting any portfolio, ministry, or getting the cash rewards. So for that, the government of India brought about a change, and that change was defection. So in the present time, People's Representative Act, Kanun, has also been made. People's Representative Act, By that, any person, either he is an MP or an MLA, if ever he wins the seat from any place, and only because of the lust of getting any portfolio or the ministry or for the cash rewards, that particular member changes his changes his seat and moves to the another party only on the lust of getting the portfolio or the cash reward. So that has to be stopped. That is called defection. So for that, an act was made, the law was made in the parliament, which is basically known as the anti-defection law. वो basically anti-defection law के नाम से जाना जाता है, under the Act of People's Representation Act, by which a strong decision or a law is made or formulated by which no member after winning the election can change his seats from one party to another party. So such thing has to be taken into consideration. Such thing has to be looked into, that whoever is the member who has won the seat either in the MP or in the MLA may not change his political parties, may not change his party group and move to the another party only because of the lust of money and the cash reward. So this is the very first reform which is to be made out. Second reform, in the last 5 to 10 years of a time, we are seeing that the Supreme Court of India, which is the most apex body wherever any type of a dispute takes place, where the laws are declared to be null and void, where the genuinity of a law is being taken into consideration. So that Supreme Court passed an order of filing an affidavit from the side of the representatives who are going to contest the election. The Supreme Court, in its open verdict, openly stated that whoever is going to contest the election, either for the member of parliament or for the member of legislative assembly, has to file an affidavit. Now what is this affidavit? हिंदी में उसको बोलते हैं शपथ पत्र, इंग्लिश में उस चीज का वर्ड होता है एफिडेविट. मीन्स a person has to give in writing and he will be solemnly affirming that whatever I am stating, that is 100% correct and genuine. Nothing is false. And if it is found to be false, then any type of judicial step may be taken against them. So that document is basically regarded as an affidavit. Now the Supreme Court came up with a verdict that every MP or an MLA before contesting an election has to file an affidavit stating therein the property, what type of property, the movable property, the immovable property, whatever property he or she is having in the name of wife, son or daughter or anything. Any type of a movable property also. The movable property includes the jewels, the jewelry, the gold, silver, motor vehicles and so on. Any type of a thing. So everything has to be done or stated by that member who is going to contest the election. Now the reason behind this filing an affidavit, what is the reason? The reason behind filing this affidavit is that the government wants to see that which representative of India who is contesting the election, how much money he or she is having in his hand. How much? What is the wealth which that person is having? So by that affidavit, the government also comes to know that who is the richer person who is contesting the election and who is the poor person who is contesting the election. It is also very good for the Election Commission of India, which we had studied in the challenges, that Election Commission of India looks to it that no muscular and money power is utilized in the time of the election. So by filing of the affidavit by the MPs or an MLA, it becomes crystal clear for the Election Commission of India that use of money and muscular power will not take place, and Election Commission of India will keep up its eagle's eye on those candidates who happen to be the wealthier ones or the richer section of the people. Because there is a fear that those persons, they may either utilize the money, they may spend money, they may in their constituency use men, muscular power and money to win the election. So this is one of the cause behind why Supreme Court of India came up with the decision of filing an affidavit from the side of the MPs and the MLAs. But by filing the affidavit also, we see that the work which the Supreme Court thought it better that it will do something, but it has not proved to be something good. Because although the affidavits have been filed, but still we are seeing that the authorities concerned, the competent authority who are going to look into the matter, they are not so much vigilant. They are not in a surveillance that they can go and investigate into the matter about the genuinity of the statement which is being given by those MPs or MLAs in their affidavit. And if such genuinity and if the truth of that affidavit is investigated or it is found out, then everything will come into an open space. So for that, I would say that although the affidavit has been filed, there should be some investigation in that. There should be some inquiry into that matter, such that everything will become open to the people at large and everybody will understand what is the basic truth behind that. Moreover, one thing more I have to say as with regard to the filing of the affidavit is concerned, all the MPs and MLAs have also to state there in their affidavit that how many criminal cases are pending against them, what were the criminal cases pending before and how many are still pending, and they also have to state over there in their affidavit that whether in any criminal cases they have been declared as an accused or not, क्या वो जो है accused साबित हुए हैं कि नहीं, whether their matter is lying there in an appeal in the High Court, whether their matter is lying in the Supreme Court or not, everything they have to write. So by this we can, or the people at large or the entire citizen of the country can also understand how many criminal antecedent based people are there contesting the election. कितने criminal natured people हमारे देश में election लड़ रहे हैं. All such things can be found out only by the affidavit which is being filed by the MPs or the MLAs, as was being ordered by the Supreme Court of India. Now the third reformative steps which is also to be taken into consideration for the better functioning of the political parties in a democracy, that is what? It is that the Election Commission pass an order. The Election Commission, which is the highest body, which coordinates, which looks into the and controls the election of the country, the Election Commission of India passed an order making it necessary for the political parties to hold their organizational meetings and also for filing their income tax return. In the challenges we had also studied lack of internal democracy. We find that in India, the political parties, there is lack of internal democracy. No internal meetings takes place. No organizational meeting takes place. No files are being maintained by the political parties. The followers in the political party, they are not understanding what decisions are taken at the apex body. It is only the big leaders who can only understand what is going on, and the followers of the party, the small leaders, the supporters, they do not know what is going on in the party. So the third reformative step which has to be taken, that Election Commission of India has stated that all the political parties have to hold the organizational meetings in order to such that if all the political parties hold their organizational meetings, then right from tip to toe, that is from the big leaders to the to the supporters at the downward level, everybody will come to understand what decisions are being taken by the government and what decisions are not taken by the government. That will become crystal clear. And it has also been stated by the Election Commission of India that the parties will hold their organizational elections and to file their income tax return. The parties have started doing so. In the present era, what do we find? That the parties have started doing so, but sometimes it is just a mere formality. Parties जो है करना तो शुरू कर दिया है, but it is sometimes looking to be very much formality. It is not clear if this step has led to a great internal democracy or not. It is not still clear कि ये step हमारे internal democracy को finish off कर पाया है कि नहीं. That cannot be judged. But still, we can well say that in order to bring about such reforms, that Election Commission of India came up with one of the suggestions that the party must hold their organizational meetings and must also file their income tax return. The income tax return, the meaning over here, it means what? The Election Commission of India sees to it that from which source the political parties are getting their fund. पार्टी फंडिंग्स जो होते हैं वो आखिर वो फंड कहां से आता है, कौन सा पॉलिटिकल पार्टी कितने इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न जमा कर रहे हैं, तो उस जमा करने से पता चल जाता है कि उस पार्टी को फंड कितने आ रहे हैं और क्या क्या सोर्सेज से उसको आ रहा है वो पता चल जाता है. सो दीज आर बेसिकली द थ्री रिफॉर्म्स which are basically taken into consideration. Means filing of the income tax. Then second one we had discussed about the filing of the affidavit. Then the very first one we had also talked about MPs and MLAs. They are now planning, they are now thinking of moving over from one party to the another party. That is called defection. So that has also been stopped by the order passed by the Supreme Court, the law made by the Supreme Court. And in that it is being stated that no party, whoever after winning the election, can change its seat from one party to another. Various examples have been seen in that matter also, like the case of the Shibu Soren and various other party. When Shibu Soren was implicated in any type of in a type of a case of a horse trading, then that time many so-called winner MPs and MLAs, the finger point was rising in them that they had shifted their parties from one party to another party and supported Shibu Soren only on the ground of the cash awards. Now some of the more suggestions which are to be taken into consideration is that a law should be made to regulate the internal affairs or the working of the political party. Every political party should see to it that meetings may be held up, meetings may take place, organizational meetings may take place. Then organizational meetings, the register should be maintained. Whenever there is any type of a dispute, such disputes should be solved unanimously by the decision of all the members. It should not be seen that only the topmost leaders must assume the greatest power. No, that should not be seen. So that is one of the better suggestion which is to be likely or to be considered by any of the political parties. Next, we must also see that we have got a patriarchal society. Now in that patriarchal society, what do we see is that it is we the people, that is men, we every time think that we are the most powerful. But no, the women empowerment should be also taken into consideration. So another suggestion which is to be likely to be taken by the political parties are that 2/3 seats must be given to the women, such that the women representative may assemble there in the parliament or in the legislative assemblies of the state, such that their voice can be heard and the awareness within the women or the feminist categories should be taken into consideration. So lastly, to conclude with, I have also stated today that whatever the syllabus was there regarding the political party, the introductory part, the meaning of the political party, the necessity of the political parties, the functions of the political party, single party system, bi-party system, multi-party system, the merits, the demerits, why a party is to be regarded as a national party, why a party is to be regarded as a state party or a regional party. And then we also switched over to some of the national parties, their objectives, their aim, the founder member. And then last portion we also dealt with the challenges of the democracy and the reformative steps of the political party. So by that, I hope that the entire thing as with regard to the political party is concerned, we have dealt with such type of a thing. And if any problem arises, I will be there also. One can give me the written question, or whenever any doubt is there, one can ask me by supplying me the written note on that, and I will try to every time finish off the doubts. So have a good time, and we'll move on with a new chapter again. Till then, goodbye and have a good time. Thank you very much.